Recording in progress. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Cosmic Conversations. I'm your host, Sheila Seppi, and I'm so excited that you are here with us tonight. I want to remind you that for the entire month of June, my special co-host is Michelle Anderson. Now, Michelle is a conscious collaborator. She's an MC. She's an international speaker. She's an event organizer, a co-host of the Awakening Code Radio, and tonight she's going to be introducing and interviewing our guest for us. Now, she has shared a beautiful song with me that really helps to set the tone for tonight's gathering. So what I'd like you all to do, whether you're watching us live or if you're in the audience right now, just go ahead and sit back, close your eyes, and I want you to just take in this amazing song that I'm getting ready to play for you. So just kind of sit back and enjoy.
Indigenous people, shine your light, we are equal. I remember the days when our prayers were illegal. I remember the days when being Indian was lethal. Yeah, we had a rough past, but get ready for the sequel. Get ready for the glorious comeback of our people. Oh, yeah. Rise up, all you warriors of love, all you answers to the prayers of our ancestors from above. I can feel it in my heart. Can you feel it in your blood? I can hear the seven fire calling us to wake up, wake up. All nations rise. Rise up, cause now's your time. We don't have to hide anymore, cause now's the time. All nations rise, rise up, cause now's your time. We don't have to hide anymore, cause now's the time. With forgiveness as my bow and my prayers as my arrows, pull them back and let go. I watch them fly like sparrows, have hope. Yeah, have hope with compassion as my shield and faith down to my marrow. I will walk the pollen path even when it gets narrow. Yeah, yeah, I resurrect. Yes, you can bet that we seen the single mama raising children on the rest. We seen domestic violence tear apart what we have left. We seen the alcohol take it all and leave us dead. We seen the children take their lives when they can't take the dread anymore. Can't take the dread anymore. No, we can't take the dread anymore. No, we can't take the dread anymore. It's a war, but we've seen it all before. And now we know we can change it, cause that's why we were born. We know we are the ones that we have been waiting for. We are the ones Grandma has been praying for. So rise up, all you warriors of love, all you answers to the prayers of our ancestors from above. I can feel it in my heart. Can you feel it in your blood? I can hear the seven fire calling us to wake up, wake up. Levántense, es nuestro tiempo. No tienes que esconderte más. Ahora es nuestro tiempo. Mujer indígena, tú eres tan sagrada. Traigas medicina de tu suelo todavía, a pesar del abuso de tu cuerpo y tu tierra. Respetamos tus ancestros y la suya cultura. Hombre indígena, tú eres honorable y yo veo la fuerza que todavía sobrevive a pesar del abuso de tu raza venerable. Yo respeto tus ritos, tus danzas, tus padres. Somos guerreros del amor y guerreros de la paz. Sí, no vamos a escondernos más. Somos guerreros del amor y guerreros de la paz. Sí, no vamos a escondernos más.
They say that history is written by the victors. But how can there be a victor when the war isn't over? The battle has only just begun, and Creator is sending his very best warriors. And this time, it isn't Indians versus cowboys. No, This time, it is all the beautiful races of humanity together on the same side, and we are fighting to replace our fear with love. And this time, bullets, arrows, and cannonballs won't save us. The only weapons that are useful in this battle are the weapons of truth, faith, and compassion.
All right, Michelle, it's all yours.
I get choked up when I hear that song. I play it a lot on Awakening Code Radio. I played it a lot during Standing Rock, and that's when I think Lila June wrote that song and released it. And I felt that it was so important to invite these beautiful women today on Cosmic Conversation show, because their stories need to be told. And my feeling about coming together in this way is to utilize deep listening skills and have reverence for the past so that we can heal. And we're not going to be able to heal unless there's forgiveness, but forgiveness comes through listening and really, really taking in the teachings that I think all of us are ready to hear and have compassion, like Lila says. Do you know, does anyone here know that our speakers today, if she calls her name Lila or Layla? I've heard it both ways. Della, do you know? Or Teresa, do you know?
I don't.
You
I
don't?
refer to her as Lila June.
Mm-hmm. Me as well. And I want to say that normally we have one speaker on, and tonight we have 3 speakers on, because all 3 of these women impacted me so greatly when they joined our Sunfire Fest team. And that's the festival that we introduced last week when we had Jen Berryhill on, the festival producer, talking about her vision and why she wants to do this festival and what it offers all of us, not just each one of us who shows up there, but I believe it offers the collective of humanity a chance to really go deep into a compassionate place, to hold space for all life upon earth to heal, and for us to really honor Mother Earth and all life upon her. So our first speaker tonight, and I'm open to doing it conversation style if you want to go back and forth, but Teresa Stone joined us at Sunfire Fest, and she introduced me to Della Marie and Amanda. I noticed your name on your Zoom says Ama Kamimili. Can you say that for me, please? How you say it? Kamimila? Did I say it right?
You got it.
Does that mean butterfly in Lakota?
It does.
Oh, yes, got it right. Okay, so, and Amanda, Ama, if you want to go by Ama, I love that. That's mother, right? Is that mother butterfly?
Yeah, Alma's short for Amanda. I've just been going by that lately. Either one's fine.
Okay. So why don't we, thank you so much for that. And why don't we start with you, Teresa, in what you bring to Sunfire Fest by way of your wisdom and your teachings. And I really feel your heart and how we're bringing a lot of information forward to people who may not be aware of what's taking place in terms of honoring our First Nation Indigenous families in listening to the stories so that we can hold them and all of us come to the same page of unity and love and compassion and forgiveness and gratitude. So thank you for joining us today, Teresa, and all of you who have joined tonight.
Thank you, Michelle. So grateful that the stars aligned to have been brought into your and Jennifer Berryhill's presence by Christy Grace. And I was praying for a place of mystery school teachings to come online in a joyful way of celebration where there's dance and music, and also the deep sacredness of ceremony. And then I was introduced to Sunfire Festival, which holds all these different dimensions and aspects. And for Della Romero and Wolfchild and I have been involved in transformational work together for a decade. And my stand is that humanity would come back into harmony with Mother Earth, and that the rivers would be able to run back to Grandmother Ocean, for that is her birthright. And that in the healing of humanity, all of Mother Nature will heal. And I have been called forth to be a woman of prayer for humanity to come back into harmony. And so I ended up somehow being a matriarch of this beautiful space along the Animas River. I was born on the Animas River, and I feel like it's a modern day Mesa Verde. I feel like it's a gathering place of people, of tribes of light who are coming to birth the new earth in a good way, in harmony and benefit to all beings, not just the elemental beings that sustain us alive on this planet, the earth, the air, the water, the fire, not just all the peoples of this nation, but all the peoples. What I believe we're going through on earth is we are this beautiful antidote of expansion throughout all universes. And so I'm standing as a call for us to come back to reverence to Creator and the primordial mother of all life, of all universes. And for that to happen, I believe there needs to be an acknowledgement and a healing between what our people have done to one another on this planet before we can just be like, hey, star brother and sisters, come on down and let's hang out. They're like, you all are dangerous. You need to reconcile what you've done to one another. There needs to be acknowledgement and forgiveness. We need to move forward in a good way there before we can be, I think this is just something that's coming up for me, to be in right relationship with our star brothers and sisters. And that's what's coming up for me, and being invited into Sunfire, and that's my own process. So in all those prayers, I think God decided to use me. And so now I'm curation of the Sacred Fire, which is a place of prayer. It's a place of community council, so we can have these conversations. And it's a place where those who are ready can receive an acknowledgement and a ceremony that Crystal Wolfchild brought up. It's called Wiping of the Tears, so that we can, those who walked the trail of tears can forgive the lineages and the peoples that did that, also taking responsibility that that could have been brought upon our people, and some people are acknowledging that because of things being out of integrity within our First Nations people in the first place. But that there's a wiping of the tears and a complete and total forgiveness, so we can come together in unity, all people, and move forward in a good way to coherently in our hearts, in integrity, in harmony and balance, create unity in a way where from the inside out we can create a world that works, grassroots movement that works, and receive the support from our star brothers and sisters. And so in that, I would like to say that this is so profound to me, because I'm I'm Jewish, German, Cherokee. So within my own DNA, I've gone that those bloodlines have gone through the tragedies of Holocaust and the Trail of Tears. And then I'm Finnish, French Canadian, and Chippewa. And so the fact that we are coming together to bring awareness and healing to this at Sunfire Festival, and then moving forward to expand beyond the beyond into a greater place of the most victorious timeline that there is for humanity on this planet at this time, that honors ourself and all beings on this earth and through all the universes. That's what this is to me. And my elder, she's an amazing woman. I'm so grateful to have had her support in my life. Della Marie Romero Wolfchild. She's believed in my audacity to have big prayers, and now we find ourselves here in the middle of this healing. And we actually, yeah, I think it would be a good time to bring her beauty into this talk, because she really stands for the next 7 generations, where I'm here honoring our elders. She really, as a grandmother, stands for the next 7 generations, which I do as well. And that's really strong in her heart. And so that is what has come up for me to share. And perhaps this is a good moment for her to come on and share from her heart.
Thank you so much for that, Teresa. I'm so glad this is being recorded. And Della, I am just so honored to meet you and to be in your presence. And I thank you, Teresa, for bringing in, I love the way that you bring in how we all meet and honor. Christy Grace brought you in, and how there's just such an honoring and a reverence here. It's really inspiring to me to learn from each one of you. And Della, I would love to hear what you have to share. I know you're also Crystal's mother, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so Crystal's the beautiful woman that Teresa mentioned that brought up the wiping of the tears ceremony, and this is her beautiful mother, Della. So Della, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you for the invitation for Sunfire, and also this moment here right now is pretty momentous, and that song really rocked me, and it sort of gives me an understanding my melancholy today. So I bring my authentic self today. And I was literally thinking, there was a line there about that it was illegal to have our ceremonies. And it was the longest walk that my husband, Sheldon Wolfchild, was a part of, and his brother, Ernie, who was Ernie Longwalker, and literally walked from Alcatraz to Washington, DC, to save and keep our ceremonies intact. So that just I really went back a time and brought me to this moment. And I said, I'm just going to bring my authentic self and my melancholy today, because usually I'm just full of energy and optimism, and I still am, but I'm feeling what I'm feeling, and I'm honored. And I think back to Tico time, and when Teresa and a few of us literally went to clean and cleanse the land from all the previous, and we all went off in our directions. And that's the container and the context of something really gorgeous that's happened. And here comes Sunfire, right? And I just feel this energy coming from the sun. And Grandfather's Sun has been so active this year with a lot of phenomena that's been happening. And I just feel like, yes, wow, that's a very powerful energy. So I'm honored to be a part of this. And Teresa's been instrumental in wanting to call forth sacred dance and respect, and respecting of the feminine. When I heard and saw some of the print on the poster too, the rising of the frequency is always something that I whispered a few years back, like, that sounds so silly. People aren't ready for that, but here we are, like ready to raise the frequency of the feminine, because when we heal the feminine, we heal nature, we heal everyone. And that's our own personal responsibility for our healing, but also of nature and of course for the children. So it's really amazing to see all the great things that are going to happen at this particular festival, which I think is just like the queen of all of them thus far. And I want to speak a little bit on behalf of Crystal, just because she wasn't able to make it, but her heart has always been with that atonement, or whatever we want to call it, reparation for those atrocities. And I shared with Teresa and another friend, she was from Canada. She said, I always feel so guilty. And I said, you know, it's not, we don't want the guilt. We want to release that guilt. And spirit has no color. And there are 4 directions, 4 races, and that includes the white direction and the Anglo people. So I don't feel in my heart that way, but I feel we all personally could certainly use that forgiveness ceremony. And I think there'll be other ceremonies that will address that as well. But what an opportunity to have something like that, along with all the joy and all the dancing and all the love and all the fun and all the connecting and getting to meet new people. So it's a great time. It's a momentous, auspicious time, and I'm very honored to be a part of it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I shared when you stated that you're honoring your melancholy today, because I felt that in my heart today as well. And I'm usually the little, dolphin spirit that's just always bursting with joy. And I felt a little melancholy today and really couldn't place it. So you helped me understand that as well. And I thank you. I've learned so much by listening to all of you in the way that you speak. And I want to adopt that more in my own life. So I just give you so much gratitude for bringing that forward and honoring that. And Sheila, I don't know if you want to jump in before we go to Ama Kimimila. Do you have anything you want to share yet? I feel like this is the sharing, right? This is the beauty of conscious collaboration without competition, which has been my mantra for so many years. And I feel it actually happening right now. We're embodying that because we're all coming together in the spirit of love and unity and healing and wanting all the same things for all the beautiful beings on this incredible Mother Earth. So I know that Sheila, you bring that wisdom too, and you embody that. I'm always telling you that I thank you so much for bringing this forum to each one of us here. I can see some of the faces here and some of the names on my screen. And I just feel like we're all sharing a sacred container right now where we have the space to move forward with these teachings.
Right. Michelle, it's almost like everything is already being said. The beauty that's coming forward, really the depth of spirit that you ladies are speaking about, the connection with the earth, the oneness that we all are, and the importance of us really stepping forward and standing in our truth. There's a difference in speaking truth and speaking your truth, because sometimes people don't want to hear your real truth. But when you speak the truth, you speak that universal tongue. And that's what I think is being shared tonight. And as a society, I think sometimes we just get so busy and so caught up that we really forget who and what we are. We forget to honor the earth. We forget to ground in the earth, because the earth will take and transmute all of our pain, all of the darkness, everything that we want to send into her. I mean, it's just like a mother. She wants to kiss the boo-boos, and sometimes instead of allowing that to happen, we withdraw. And when we withdraw, we then begin to create these walls around us. And I think one of the beautiful things that I'm hearing and that I'm going to be looking forward to, because I'm going to do my very best to attend the conference, is, the melting away, the dropping of all of these masks that we wear, and having the opportunity as women, as a community, to step into a sisterhood, a sister brotherhood, but to really be able to drop into sacred ceremony. And we have that opportunity each and every day as well. And so I really appreciate everything that you're bringing forward. I appreciate the effort to bring this conference forward, and it really warms my heart. And I loved, as much as it breaks and tears at my heart, that song really did set the container for tonight. And everything that I'm hearing is just kind of, it feels like there's this bubbling up of energy. And I hope that everybody in the audience and everybody that's watching can really feel that. So, just sit back and really listen. I was taught that these are for hearing, but our hearts for listening. And so let's kind of listen with our heart tonight to these beautiful and profound words. So thank you. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you, ladies, for being here.
Thank you. And Ama Kimimila, we invited you because I knew that this was another one of those opportunities for me to be able to introduce you to more women who I have great, deep respect and admiration for, the way that I do for you as well. And when I met you years ago at a Star Knowledge conference, I heard you before I saw you. And I heard you at that great, beautiful drum where mainly men sit. And I watched you walk up there. Well, I heard you first. I heard your singing, and I thought, that's a woman singing. And normally it was the men singing the prayers on that drum. And I made my way over there to see who had that beautiful voice that penetrated my heart. And it was you. And just witnessing the way that you weave in the world has been a great honor for me. And so I welcome you to share some of your wisdom. I know you are a mother of a 2-year-old, a single mother of a 2-year-old. I know you're very active with little Ira, and I've also witnessed you step into that role with such passion and conviction to raise your son in a beautiful way. And I give you such deep respect and honor for doing that and being a beacon of light and hope for me as I witness the things going on in the world that have to do with our children. So thank you for modeling that way for us. And I would just love to hear from you and your comments and your hopes and what you're bringing to Sunfire Fest as well.
Oh, thank you so much, Michelle. I wasn't expecting to cry on camera, but you got me. And, just first, always, I want to say thank you so much to those who came before us. And so much gratitude for Dekshi Wambadi Izaza Zizi Tantra, Chief Golden Light Eagle, Uncle Lauren. I want to say thank you to my grandmother, Unshikaya, Barbara Morningstar. Both are from the Lakota, Dakota nations, and just so much gratitude for them really holding space for me to find my voice, and then really including me and saying, hey, go sing loud, go sing proud. When we pray like that, that's our voice to creation. It's our creation voice when we're singing, we're speaking our prayers. And we want to call in that beauty with our heart, not for so that people see you or hear you. And, it's your voice to creation is how they spoke to me about it. So thank you for reminding me of that. I don't know that I would be singing in front of anybody outside of my own shower if it wasn't for those two elders who really lifted me up in that way. And I love what you said earlier about competition, Michelle. I just shared something in community that said, you cannot compete with me. I want you to win too.
Beautiful.
You know, you read the first line and you're like, oh, this lady's in her ego. But then it's like, I want you to win too. It's like, oh, that's good. You know, and I just love that in this space, we're all sharing and honoring beauty and calling in that beauty. And there's been so much beauty coming through. And Della, you know, you had mentioned the sun being very active. And that is a really grounding pillar for the intention of this ceremony and this gathering. You know, we have a solar cycle that's 11 years, and we are coming to solar maximum. Solar maximum is going to be peaking in the middle of next year, just in time for our total solar eclipse on April 8th, 2024, that will be visible in the United States. So as we're coming up, you know, to that solar maximum, the sun is sending these seeds of light for us to manifest our prayers with and to grow our food with, and to take in that light, you know, to eat it like a plant, because we're like that too. And it's really beautiful to see that. And I love what you said, Sheila, about earthing, because the earth is our greatest ally in this time of solar maximum. You know, we're conduits of Father Sky and Mother Earth in balance. And if we don't have that balance, it can throw off some of the systems in our physical body and our energetic body. And so really want to say thank you for those messages that you guys brought through. And, you know, Teresa, you had mentioned something beautiful about getting right with our relations. You know, we talk about connecting and ascending with star nations. And I love how you said that it's important for us to get right with each other too, you know, on the ground level, get right with our environment, get right with our relations and humanity, you know. And that's one of the teachings that came through the star altar, the star knowledge teachings, the Maka Wichakbe Wichoka, the Earth Star knowledge, Earth Star way. And that's specifically a message from the Buffalo Nations. And they bring in this beautiful truth that, you know, it's really important for us to heal and claim, not only to repair and release the generational wounding, but to claim our generational medicine with that healing within our own families, within our own selves, and then within our larger community of humanity, and then with other nations here on earth, the Wamakashka Oyate, those that move on the earth. And then we can connect with our star nation relatives, because that's when the channel will open organically to a wider community. And I just love that message. So thank you for bringing that in, Teresa. And yeah, one of the intentions for this gathering, you know, is to come together in a time of such change and transformation. We are living in a time where there are some scientists who are calling it a mass extinction event that has not happened since the dinosaurs. We have not had the biological diversity dying off at the rate that we do now. And I'm not saying that in a sentence of doom and gloom, but in a sense of urgency, that it's time for us to work together, because that's the only way we're going to get through this. It's time, you know, for us to really figure it out together on some level, somehow, some way, you know, for the next 7 generations, and for the plant nations, and for the animal nations, for the oceans, you know, to be happy again, to take the plastic out of the oceans and wear clothes that don't have, you know, plastics, microplastics being released in them, making little choices where we can. And one of the most valuable teachings I learned from my grandmother, so grateful to have her in my life. She's not only a beautiful matriarch and Oglala Lakota teacher and woman who's grown up in ceremonial teachings, she's also a naturopathic doctor and a holistic health practitioner. And she inspired me to go into holistic health as well. And she talked about how when we clean up our bodies, we clean up our lifestyle, we also clean up the world. When we take care of the things that we're using for cleaning our homes or our clothes or what kind of clothes we're wearing, we really impact the waves that we're sending out in the world, and it makes a ripple effect. When we make choices with our words and speak kindness, we ripple out that energy as well. And it's such a beautiful blessing to be here, with each other as mirrors of each other. And why not recognize, just like you do, Michelle, not many people can make me cry like that. You see the light in people and speak to it to uplift it. And that is a blessing, that all of us can do more of, Kindness is free. Kindness is the highest form of enlightenment. And when we can become kind to ourselves and the world around us and our relations, each other, we're relationships to each other and mirrors to each other, we can be kind like that. It ripples out in such a big way. It costs nothing to be kind. So thank you for that beauty that you always carry with you. I'm so grateful to be here. Leave it at that. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. There's so much depth to everything that you shared. And I am just so grateful that we're able to come together in this way with all of you here that chose to be here, that chose to spend your time with us, to listen to the beauty in each one of these women's hearts. This is my greatest joy. When you say that I like to see the light in people, that's really what I feel like is so important in the world, is that there's so much beauty in each unique soul that's walking the earth right now. And rather than judging or shaming or blaming one another, that as we lift up each other, we all rise, like Lila was singing about, all nations rise up, because now is the time. And we don't have any more time to waste. Just like you said, I really appreciate that you're bringing that forward, not in a doom and gloom way, but that this is the time, and we are the ones. I've heard that said, over and over again. So what is our job? What is each one of our jobs to, how do we usher in these changes? And I think each one of you today has dropped some really golden nuggets of teachings, in terms of how we can use these practical teachings and apply them in our lives to bring forward more goodness in the world. And I'm just so inspired and grateful. This group has just made me feel so happy and so much joy. We're talking a lot about Sunfire Fest, and that's because it's near and dear to our hearts. And as many of you know, that we're doing this festival in August in Aztec, New Mexico, on the Animas River. I've never been to this sacred place yet. I believe, Teresa, are you there right now? You're on the land near there?
I live 45 minutes from the land, and we will have Nathan Strong Elk, a Ute tribe member. He's listening tonight, but he's with his family. So he's not on, running Sweat Lodge and blessing our time together on native land. And we'll be building a sweat lodge so that we can come together as a rainbow tribe and sit together in prayer, in sweat, and gather around the sacred fire in prayer and listen to Amanda sing her songs to creation. We'll have storytelling. wisdom keepers coming and sharing their heart. And that fire is going to be lit with a magnifying glass using the sun's energy, which is really exciting to me because usually we use a hand bow, a hand drill, and it's going to be lit for the entire festival, for the entire 3 days. So I pray whoever's feeling called in their heart would come and join us. I think there's a large population of people who have had interesting experiences with both Mother Nature and our star brothers and sisters, and have witnessed things that they're probably looking for people to connect with, so they feel seen and heard and understood. And this sacred fire is a safe place for you to come and meet new relatives, to come and pray. There's going to be some people there who are actually interviewing people if they want to share any of their experiences that they've had. And it's really beautiful place to come and connect with your soul family. And there's a confluence of the river, the Florida and the Animus. There's a confluence right above where the venue is, which is really special and sacred to Native people. That's like two women coming together in their full strength.
Thank you, Teresa. If I might just offer, when you mentioned the sweat lodge, and that's a purification rite of the 7 rites. And what came to me was, wouldn't it be wonderful before the festival if many of us could go in there for that rite of purification together and just begin that process, because sweat lodge, the Unipi, is always the one before every other ceremony. And sometimes it's at the end of the ceremonies, whether it's Sundance or Uwipi or Umblecha, which is the Vision Quest. So I just had this wonderful vision of us sitting around the sacred grandpa rocks and getting started that way. That was sweet. And the river Florida is flower and Animas is soul. So that's a beautiful thing you created there visually, and probably also spiritually for all of us, because that river that runs through there is beautiful, and we have done purification ceremony in that river as well.
I'm so glad you brought that up. I can just feel what's happening right now. And when you talk, Della, about your husband, Sheldon Wolfchild, your husband, walking from Alcatraz to DC to keep your ceremonies intact, it's so hard for me to believe that in my lifetime that wasn't there until, what year was it that law was passed that you could have your ceremonies freely again?
1970, I want to say 76, but I know it was in the 70s, and that was shocking to me too. It's like, what? We were about to lose them. We still didn't have the rights, and then there was going to be some laws passed to completely obliterate that, and that was shocking. And so many people that I know personally that did that walk and how their lives, they gave a lot of their hearts and souls, and how their tennis shoes were worn out and they had to have new tennis shoes along the way. It's a great story. I have a script for that one.
And it looks like Ama Kimimula says 1978 is when that happened, which
Yesterday.
it feels it really does blow my mind, because I have such a hard time wrapping my mind and my heart around the fact that was something that had to be fought back for when these were the original teachings. And I think that's why I have such a passion for doing what we do, which is helping each one of us to see where we come from and what our cultures are, and holding on to the teachings, that are passed down through the lineages, because many of us don't understand, each other's ways. And once we do understand each other's ways, I think that's where the real healing begins. with the honoring and the respect and the reverence. And at the end of the day, we all want the same things. We love our families, and we want to be together in the spirit of happiness and giving and receiving and working together for the greater good for all. This is, for me, the most important work we can do, is to hear each other, to really, really listen and take it in. So again, deep gratitude for everybody for all the sharing that is going on here, and the visioning, because what I also appreciate, Della, is you bringing in the fact that, and you as well, Teresa, with this, the sweat lodge and what that is. Can any of you go a little bit deeper with what takes place there, the reason why it's done, and what happens, and give a visual for anyone that's never attended a sweat lodge?
Yes, I'd be glad to. And I want to go back further, because where these 7 rites came from, and Mama, please chime in, because I know it's your lineage directly. But the sacred buffalo calf black woman, and the story that goes with that, the legend and all of that, brought the 7 rites to the people. And of those 7 rites, one of them was the sweat lodge, and it was the idea of purification. And when you create it, from the very moment that you pray about creating a sweat lodge, you offer tobacco to the mother, and when you get the willows, you offer tobacco to the willows. When you set it up, you offer tobacco to the area, and you begin. And recently we put a sweat lodge together, right, Teresa? And I was just going from memory and experience, but we did it. And of course, you honor the 4 directions. When you take out the center of the sweat lodge, that becomes the altar on the outside. When you bring the rocks in after they're heated, they're considered the ancestors. And when you pour water, which is the feminine, I want to say the sacred water, then that steam that's released is our prayers going up to the creator. And there's 4 rounds, and there's songs that go with the 4 rounds. So it's really a beautiful ceremony. It's a very cleansing ceremony. And I get a little emotional, because my helper I was her helper, Grandma Bertha. She taught me so much about sweat lodge. She was Southern New Elder, and she taught me so much about regard for the water. And so on the 3rd round, the water goes around, and you drink it in a reverent way. And what you don't drink, you give back to the grandpa rocks. So I would love to go to sweat lodge. It's been a while. And it's a great feeling when you come out of there. My experience was being as clean as a whistle, because I could feel the breeze go through me. So glad you're going to do this, Nathan. I appreciate it, because I know it's a lot of work too. Please add anything that you have on top of that.
Thank you for sharing that. One of the things that was brought up earlier too is how it wasn't done for a while, or it was illegal till 1978. And my first teacher was my grandma, and she was given the permission to pour sweat lodge. And there were always star nations on her land. She lives way out in the middle of nowhere, some people call it. And one day we counted, there were about 27 starships blipping around over us. And it was just me and her that day. And it was just such a gift. It was really hard to count them though, because they were phasing in and out. So like 1, 2, 3. Oh wait, no, that one's over there. Or is it a new one? I don't know. We counted about 27. But when she told me that she was not able to name her children or talk to her children about the language, she couldn't even speak to her children in her own language until 1978, when they were 10 years old, 10 and 11 years old, 12. And by then they had learned English. And she had talked about something called the white buffalo calf prophecy. And this was an oral tradition that was passed down in her family and talked about really quietly, you know. And she was the only child in that family that was able to hear those teachings because she was born at the time of the morning star. And that's her namesake, Barbara Morningstar, for that reason. And so the lineage was carried to each morning star relative that was born at that time of day, the rising of Venus. And this prophecy that it would not be time to loosen the lips and to speak the teachings of the universal ways and the ceremonies until the white buffalo calf was born. And that happened in 1994, 1996 in Wisconsin. So even though it was 1978 and the Freedom of Religion Act was passed, she didn't speak her language until almost 20 years later because, well, every treaty was broken. So what made this one different? So when the white buffalo calf was born, she went to go see it and met all of her relatives. And that's where she met Uncle Lauren, Chief Golden Light Eagle, who carried that same lineage and that same teaching, and Chief Orville Looking Horse, who's the carrier of that white buffalo calf pipe. And they all met that day. And that's when it was time to speak. And that's when the conferences for Star Knowledge started at that time, at the time of the white buffalo calf prophecy. So that message came through, and it was really beautiful to be at Standing Rock with Chief Orville Looking Horse. And he talked about that same thing, that, you know, it's time for humanity to hear these teachings, and that they were kept secret for a long time. And generally the men sing because the women were the keepers of the life, the next generations, and the men took the burden. They took that on, as I was told, to carry those songs and to carry those teachings and to carry those altars so that the women could birth the children without being convicted or punished for breaking the law. And how beautiful is it that we don't have to do that anymore?
Very beautiful. Very beautiful. And the way both of you are sharing, it's really, what did Layla say or Lila said something when she talked about the bow and arrow, and let one of them be compassion, you know, and to speak it with such compassion, it really brings so much forward for each one of us to understand the history, the true history, the history that many of us never learned before. It wasn't taught to us in our schools. So I feel deep, deep, deep gratitude for you sharing in the way that you're sharing, and really appreciate all the names being spoken and the ancestors put into this circle that we've created here. This is a very beautiful container with each one of the hearts that showed up today. I just feel so blessed to have you listen to these amazing women share these stories. And Della, you were talking about the tobacco and how the tobacco is the blessing and blessing the land and the water. And I had my own little teeny story I wanted to share about the tobacco, just to give an idea of how powerful this is, this tobacco. I was assisting Chief Phil Lane at a festival called Unify in New Mexico. And in all of the running around at this beautiful festival, my cell phone needed to be charged. It was dying, and I saw a plug and I plugged in my cell phone, and people were packing up. It was the end of the festival. So I plugged in my phone and I thought, I'm going to leave my purse here with my phone on it so people know that I'm coming back. And I left my purse and my cell phone charging, and I went to go talk to somebody. And when I came back, it was all gone. Everybody had packed up and taken their things away, and my purse and my cell phone were gone. And I was like, wow, now what am I going to do? I happen to have, and my keys, my car keys, I drove from California, were in that purse. and all my things were in my car that was locked. But I had brought a spare set of car keys and given it to a girlfriend because we were both using my car. So I did have car keys. I just had no money. I had nothing that was in my purse and no phone. And I decided I was going to go dance because I just knew in my heart, my phone and my purse were on a walkabout. I wasn't going to believe, people were saying somebody stole it. And I didn't want to believe somebody stole it. I said, no, I don't think anybody stole it. They're on a walkabout. And so I went and I danced to the last band that was playing, and I just put my prayers in that dance. And I just stayed in my heart with gratitude for everything that took place, because the sacred fire was lit the entire time. And there were a couple little dramatic little things that happened, but they got smoothed over. Sometimes these festivals give us opportunities for growth. So the purse didn't come back, and the phone didn't come back that day. And Chief Phil says, sister, I really applaud you for how you're handling this. And I said, well, what are you going to do? I'm still here. I'm grateful for the experience, and it'll all work itself out. So we left and we went back to our room. We had a motel off site because Chief Phil, I wanted to get him a room because he was a little bit cold there. And so luckily I had the keys, and my friend had some money that could put gas in the car. And we went back to the room, and I didn't want to tell my husband because I didn't want him to say, you need to cancel your credit cards, because I didn't want to believe somebody could have I didn't believe anybody stole my purse. Long story short, we go back the next day to the grounds. Something said, go back to the grounds. And when I went back to the grounds, there was this beautiful man there that I had met at a peace pipe smoking ceremony that had been done there. And he was kind of leery of what was going on and what was taking place, because he wanted to make sure it was done with reverence, and that, we weren't doing things out of context to the culture. And I had met him and I really appreciated him. And so I saw him and I started crying. And it was the first time I started crying, but my girlfriend had put that iPhone locator on, and she saw that my purse was moving. So they thought, oh no, somebody, the police have to be called now. And it got really, really kind of ugly for a moment. And I see this man and I said, I just know that my purse wasn't stolen. I just know that it's on a walkabout. And he says, come here. And he takes me to his friend. And his friend says to me, I wish I could remember their names. And off the top of my head, I apologize for not remembering their names. But he brings me to the friend, and the friend says, did you give tobacco to the little people? And I went, I came back here to do ceremony and to give tobacco to help me relocate my purse. And in all the chaos with somebody calling the police and it getting all weird, I forgot to give the tobacco. So these two men and I give the tobacco, and within 5 minutes, my purse was returned, and it was all a misunderstanding. The volunteer coordinator said, I know that purse. That's Michelle's purse. I'll find her and I'll give her her purse back. She didn't realize that my phone was charging on the inside, I guess, or she put it all together, and she was calling me over and over again on the phone that was on silent. So I didn't know that she had my purse, but it all worked out. And I love that I got the teaching of how the honoring of laying down of tobacco actually works. That's a part of the prayer. So I wanted to share my little story about that because you reminded me of it. I didn't plan on sharing that story tonight, but I thank you for highlighting that so that we can share, in practicality, the way I learned.
Mhm. That's so lovely. And I want to add just a little bit about in offering the tobacco, we're asking permission, and whether sometimes even picking a flower, if we're going to go pick flowers or plants, the first one we ask permission of. If we don't have tobacco, what I was also taught is take a piece of your hair and offer it. So it's really an offering of permission. And I just love your story. Like, I was suspenseful. It was great.
Thank you. I probably told it a little bit longer than I needed to, but I appreciate all of you listening. And it brought me back to that time of just that being receptive to learning and living in that frequency of trust and how we can work in harmony with each other and with nature. And I never knew these teachings before, and I'm just in awe of my capacity to learn from every person I meet. And I think that we're all in that space right now of giving you such gratitude for these teachings. So I'm just, again, thank you so very much, Sheila. Thank you for giving us this forum to be able to have this dialogue, to be able to talk about, why we feel it's important to gather during these times. And that invitation to each one of you to join us in person or to hold prayers with us for that visioning of what the new earth looks like, with all of us coming together, loving each other, and feeling such gratitude for each other.
Thank you so much, Michelle, and thanks to each one of you ladies for being here. What I'd like to do, I really want to close the same way we started, and I'm going to put full screen and put the song up again so we can listen to that as we close. But I'd like to give each of you ladies just an opportunity to just share something real quickly from your heart. Maybe a message that you want to share with the audience, an invitation, whatever that would be. And so Delia, if we could go ahead and start with you.
Okay, what comes to mind, I want to trust this, is the generations. And recently at Tico Time, it was Rise and Vibe, and we were there, asked again to open, and Crystal was there with baby Arya and myself, and it felt so good. And just seeing Arya being tuned in and knowing, and these babies know, they remember, it's really about remembrance. So Teresa and I spoke yesterday, and she said something to the effect that, all kinds of people are going to be called to this festival. And in so doing, we're holding that space. And some of them may be having a hard time, and some of them may be confused, and some of them may be joyous and just silly and maybe not understanding some things. So I just want to offer holding space for all these beautiful people that are waiting to hear the call of their holy purpose, and that they can find it, and that we can support them in their awakening as we plant seeds of consciousness in the collective consciousness for awareness. So that's the excitement, is planting seeds of awareness in the collective consciousness, and really seeing, as somebody said earlier, this permeating and rippling out through the river, through the land, through the mountains, through the sky, through the sun, and just bringing in this beautiful, beautiful time that we're all about. I thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. Teresa.
My invitation is to really drop into your heart and ask before you make any choice if it really honors the mother. The words that are about to leave your mouth, is that polluting the air, or is that blessing the air? The choices that you make at the grocery store to buy a convenient food that's wrapped in plastic, wrapped in cardboard, wrapped in packaging, or to go to the produce section and take the time to put your hands on that food, and even maybe buy a packet of seeds to start growing your own food. The sun is witnessing, the moon is witnessing everything we do, everything that we are. And how can we reclaim our purity and innocence and walk in harmony and balance? And our waters, cleaning up what we put in our body, because we're 70% water. and how that directly we're a microcosm of the macro of Mother Earth. So do you really need to purchase that aluminum can full of whatever? Or can you go to your mountains and receive spring water and drink from the wisdom of the crystalline structure that's coming from those mountains? If it's my one prayer, it would be that people would receive the invitation to really take in consideration our elder, our mother, this Mother Earth, and every thought, every word, and every action, including all of our relationships and how those impact our lives. And do we need to be surrounded with some of those places and people? And that's my invitation this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
And Amma.
Mitakiapi, kimimila wimuke washdewi, ektometo washdewi, pejuta washde, wupila tanka unshila, katunkashila. Thank you, grandmothers and grandfathers, for this beautiful, beautiful medicine. Come to speak with you, relatives, this evening, and pray that at this time where we are on the threshold of much change, that we can be kind to ourselves, to our earth, and to each other. May we keep that heart of the child, that innocence, and that embodiment of truth. I want to say thank you to everyone at this time who has been called here to be a beacon and a reminder of the light that we all are, and calling in that remembrance of who we all are, and to each person, as we have already tipped the scales in critical mass, and we are in that momentum of beautiful, beautiful change. I want to call in the beauty, I call in the joy and the play and the dance and the celebration of the future that we already have in store. Mitakiasi. And one last fun fact, cherry on top, something I learned yesterday, the day I was born, was that in 1952, there was a UFO crash in Aztec, New Mexico, not far from the site that we're talking about today. So that's just a little fun teaser fact there. And I'll leave you at that.
Wait, you in
Yeah.
1952, on the day you were born, or yesterday? Yes, I know you weren't born in 1952, but was yesterday your birthday?
No, I was just kidding, saying I was born yesterday.
Oh, okay. I'm like, wait a minute. So in Aztec, New Mexico, there was a UFO crash. And we're going to be going back to Aztec, New Mexico, at Tico Time Resort. Isn't that fascinating to see that a lot of disclosure is happening now? Today, Dr. Stephen Greer was speaking at some public hearing about this disclosure. So it's definitely on the lips of a lot of people right now, talking about our star nations that are now getting recognized by the government, which is fascinating. So thank you for bringing that cherry on top.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This has been just a prayer answered. It really has been a prayer answer to have all of you here and speaking to my heart, speaking to all of our hearts. We thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm really so grateful and looking forward to hugging each and every one of you that show up there in just a couple of months.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I just can't wait to hug everybody.
Yep.
So how fun that's going to be. So again, thank you, ladies, so much for being here, for sharing about the festival. Hopefully people who are watching will be joining us. It's going to be a wonderful time. If you have been watching us for the full hour, you're going to probably drop into this feeling of sacredness that's been created here tonight. And so I want to thank everyone for being here. Before we do end, I want to remind everyone that this Thursday, of course, we have another Cosmic Conversations Mondays and Thursdays. This Thursday, I will be having 7 of the stars to be there. She literally just turned 7 years old. She's a little blue avian child who has memories fully intact, who's doing tons of spiritual teachings. And so she and her mom will be joining us on Thursday. So if you get a chance, tune in for that. And what I'd like to do is I want to go ahead and I'm going to end tonight with the song that we began with. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And whenever the song is over, we officially will be closed. So I'm going to go ahead and start that song now. Again, thank you so much for being here. Much love to everyone, and namaste.
Thank you.
Indigenous people, shine your light, we are equal. I remember the days when our prayers were illegal. I remember the days when being Indian was lethal. Yeah, we had a rough past, but get ready for the sequel. Get ready for the glorious comeback of our people. Oh, yeah, rise up, all you warriors of love, all you answers to the prayers of our ancestors from above. I can feel it in my heart. Can you feel it in your blood? I can hear the seventh fire calling us to wake up, wake up. All nations rise, rise up, cause now's the time. We don't have to hide anymore, cause now's the time. All nations rise. We don't have to hide anymore, cause now's the time. With forgiveness as my bow and my prayers as my arrows, pull them back and let go. I watch them fly like sparrows. Have hope. Yeah, I have hope. With compassion as my shield and faith down to my marrow. I will walk the pollen path even when it gets narrow. Yeah, yeah, I resurrect. Yes, you can bet that we've seen the single mama raising children on the res. We've seen domestic violence, terror, power we have left. We've seen the alcohol take it all and leave us dead. We've seen the children take their lives when they can't take the dread anymore. Can't take the dread anymore. No, we can't take the dread anymore. No, we can't take the dread anymore. It's a war, but we've seen it all before. And now we know we can change it, cause that's why we were born. We know we are the ones that we have been waiting for. We are the ones Grandma has been praying for. So rise up, all you warriors of love, all you answers to the prayers of our ancestors from above. I can feel it in my heart. Can you feel it in your blood? I can hear the seventh fire calling us to wake up, wake up. Levántense, es nuestro tiempo. No tienes que esconderte más. Ahora es nuestro tiempo. Mujer indígena, tú eres tan sagrada. Traigas medicina de tu suelo todavía. A pesar del abuso de tu cuerpo y tu tierra, respetamos tus ancestros y la suya cultura. Hombre indígena, tú eres honorable y yo veo la fuerza que todavía sobrevive. A pesar del abuso de tu raza venerable, yo respeto tus ritos, tus danzas, tus padres. Somos guerreros del amor y guerreros de la paz. Sí, no vamos a escondernos más. Somos guerreros del amor y guerreros de la paz. Sí, no vamos a escondernos más.
They say that history is written by the victors. But how can there be a victor when the war isn't over? The battle has only just begun, and Creator is sending his very best warriors. And this time, it isn't Indians versus cowboys. This time, it is all the beautiful races of humanity together on the same side. And we are fighting to replace our fear with love. And this time, bullets, arrows, and cannonballs won't save us. The only weapons that are useful in this battle are the weapons of truth, faith, and compassion.